Welcome back to our video recorded lecture. This time we will continue. So just a reminder, this is already part 3 of our lesson or lecture series on Max Weber and bureaucratic rationality. So practically we are done with the basics and the foundational concepts that you need to understand for and on behalf now of the discussion on Max Weber. So just a quick recap, we've had the chance to get to know now who is Max Weber, and at the same time, I have already discussed to you legitimate authority, what legitimizes authority, and of course, the three ideal pure types according to Max Weber. At the same time, I have also discussed to you the very reason why people obey as in the lens of Max Weber. At this juncture, we shall continue our discussion, and we are now on the C.4, no, from authority to organization. Okay, so with that, okay, let's talk about now the very reason why we have established now such organization. Okay, so we will focus on rational legal authority, no? Unlike kasi sa dalawang nauna na na-discuss po natin, legitimacy here does not come from tradition or personality. It actually comes from laws, rules, and legally established offices. So in other words, okay, sumusunod ang mga tao because they hindi dahil idol nila or ina-admire nila yung mga nakaupong mga opisyales, but rather, okay, they recognize the authority of the office itself. Okay? So, let's take yung case ng Philippine Civil Service for example, no? So, a government employee exercises authority dahil yung position po niya ay ginawa ng batas. Okay? So, katulad ng sinasabi ko, ako, sa loob ng classroom, I am your instructor, therefore I have the authority, and my authority is coming from the various laws available that governs now teaching. For example, I am governed by RA 1080. What is RA 1080 kasi? I am a licensed professional teacher. Therefore, yung pagtuturo ko po ay guided by nung batas sa eligibility. I am eligible na magturo kasi meron akong lisensyang magturo. Okay? Another one, okay? Qualified akong magtrabaho sa pamahalaan sa any government offices because I have my second level eligibility conferred to me by the Civil Service Commission. Okay? So, in that sense, my being a teacher is actually within the ambit now of rational legal authority. Okay? So hindi ko kailangang tumutok ng baril sa inyo para lang makinig kayo sa akin. The fact that you know I am a teacher, that means you obey me, you listen to me, and that you follow my instruction. Okay? So this is the foundation of modern bureaucracy. The office is permanent, but the person occupying it may change. Yung position ko ay permanent. Ibig sabihin, plantilla item na ito. Pero, sooner or later, pag ako ay namatay, for example, nag-resign, na-transfer, na-promote, yung position ko nandoon pa din pero ako umalis na. Okay? That's the reality of rational legal authority. Okay? So tignan natin no sa pang-araw-araw na pamamahala. Okay? Let me give you few more examples para naman po mas guided po tayo. Okay? So, merong nakaupong mayor. Minamahal siya ng mga tao, ng kanyang mga constituents dahil nga siya ay tapat, no? Honest po siya and meron siyang hindi matatawarang integridad. Okay? The crowd gather just to hear the mayor speak. Kahit siksikan na yan, yung tuwang-tuwa sila na pumupunta sa plaza para mapakinggan lang si mayor. Ano yung authority na meron po dyan? That is actually rational legal that is charismatic authority. Pero The mayor maintains its rational legal because yung office nga po niya ay ginawa ng batas. No? That's RA 7160 or the Local Government Code. Okay? So I hope malinaw po tayo. Alright? So ipagpatuloy na po natin ang ating discussion para mas maging malinaw po sa atin kung ano nga ba yung tinutumbok ng ating pinag-uusapan. Okay? So, in the rise of modern bureaucracy, para po kay Weber, modern societies became increasingly organized through a process called rationalization. Okay? Please take note of the word rationalization. Okay? To simply put, pag sinabi mong rationalization, meaning you are replacing your personal judgment and tradition with rules, procedures, and efficiency. Kung dati, di ba, iha-hire ka kasi good looking ka, pleasing ang personality mo, ngayon nakafocus na siya doon sa mas competent na pagpili ng mga tao. Meron ng batas na sinusunod, hindi dahil kapatid kita, asawa kita, for example, or kaya kamag-anak kita, automatic ikaw na ang kukunin ko. Dapat dumaan sila sa tamang proseso. So, instead of asking, sino ang kakilala mo sa loob, people will begin asking now, anong proseso? No? Or dati-dati, andyan ba si ano, kumare ko kasi siya? Hindi na. Ang tanong na ngayon is, ano po yung mga steps na kailangang i-take para mag-secure ng NBI clearance? Mga ganon. So, we are no longer relying on customs. Organizations now rely more on written rules. So, this long-term shift toward rule-based governance gave birth to what we now call on as modern bureaucracy. Yung nakikita natin ngayon na maayos sa sistema ng mga pamahalaan. Okay? In the case of government offices, may tinatawag na tayong citizen charter. Okay? Yun na po yung hudyat na meron na tayong tinatawag na modern bureaucracy. So what exactly is bureaucracy according now to Weber, no? So for Weber class, um he viewed bureaucracy as the organizational expression of rational legal authority. Yung pagkakaroon ng rational legal authority because of laws, because of constitution, because of procedure, yaan po yung pagpapakahulugan po niya na mayroong bürokrasya. In simple terms, if rational legal authority explains why people obey, well, bureaucracy explains how government is organized to exercise that authority. So let's try to think of a machinery. Okay, bureaucracy as the machinery that allows laws and policies to be implemented consistently. Kasi class, without bureaucracy, rational legal authority remains only an idea. So practically, yung ideology ng rational authority ay nakikita na po natin because there is a functioning bureaucracy. Nakikita na po natin siya in practice. So bureaucracy turns that idea into into a daily or everyday administrative practice. Okay? Pero dapat ko lang din pong i-emphasize that Weber did not just describe bureaucracy. He also argued that it had important advantages. So dito, mas naliliwanagan na po tayo na hindi po negative ang bureaucracy. Kung tutuusin at titignan natin sa tunay nitong purpose, maganda, sophisticated ang bureaucracy. Okay? So what are those things that we need to actually take note about bureaucratic supremacy? Number one, there is this what we call as technical superiority. And Weber made a bold claim on this one. He argued that bureaucracy is technically superior to older forms of administration. Bakit? Because it offers greater precision, it offers more consistency, better continuity, and efficiency. Take note, when When responsibilities are clearly defined and everyone knows their role, organizations become more predictable. Of course, no, of course, this doesn't mean bureaucracy is perfect. Sabi ko nga at ulit-ulitin ko, walang perpekto, 'di ba? Meron at meron pa ring mga mistakes, shortcomings, or even yung pagmamalabis or masosobrahan po natin, overdoing, no? So, in short, it simply means that compared po sa mga lumang sistema na pinag-aralan po natin, of course, na-expose tayo sa tinatawag kong spoils system during the Gilded Era, right? So, if you try to compare this with the old systems based on personal relationships or even traditions, bureaucracy is generally more capable of managing large and complex organizations. Now, according to Weber, that's exactly why bureaucracy is spread around the world, no? Kaya nga nag-comparative study po siya. Now, Weber believed that once bureaucracy becomes established, it tends to replace older forms of administration. Why? Because modern governments handle millions of transactions every year. Ano-ano yung mga yon? Pagbabayad ng buwis, right? Education, healthcare, licensing, public safety. And these simply cannot be managed efficiently through personal relationship alone. The larger an organization becomes, the greater its need for standardization, rules, sorry, is in sorry, the larger an organization becomes, the greater its need for standardized rules and procedures, even professional administration. Kaya naman, yung bureaucracy po na yan became the dominant model across most of the modern states today. And the Philippines provide a perfect example for this continuing process. Bakit? Let's take the case of the Philippine National ID System or yung PhilSys. Okay? And I think lahat tayo, excuse me, lahat tayo, uh, lahat tayo ay um, familiar sa PhilSys. Although last time nung nag-discuss po ako sa inyo, marami pa sa inyo atang hindi pa nakakuha ng PhilSys ID. Actually, sa akin nga nawawala pa eh. But nonetheless, you can actually access your national ID kapag nag-register na po kayo sa ating eGov.ph. Okay, so sabi ko nga, a good example of Weber's idea is the Philippine National ID System or yung PhilSys. Bago nagkaroon ng PhilSys, many people relied on different identification. Katulad nga ng nakwento ko sa inyo last time, 'di ba? Pagtungtong ko ng 18 years old, nung nag-18 na po ako, ang goal ko talaga dati, kunin lahat ng valid ID. So, iprinocess ko po yung aking BIR tax identification card, o meron din po akong PhilHealth, nagpa-passport na din po ako at kumuha po ako ng postal ID ko. Kasi sa Pilipinas ang hirap at ang nakakatawa sa Pilipinas 'pag magpa-process ka ng valid ID, hahanapan ka naman ng valid ID, yung parang timang, 'di ba? Pero pero dahil nga daw po sa Philippine ID system po natin, ngayon ang pamahalaan po natin is moving toward a single standardized ID system. And bakit po ito mahalaga? Dahil bureaucracy values uniformity and predictability. A standardized identification system makes government transactions faster. Hindi mo na kailangang pang kumuha ng iba't ibang mga ID. You just need to present your PhilSys ID and voila, 'di ba? Convenient na po siya. Alright? So, from a Weberian perspective, this is an example of tinatawag nating rationalization. You are trying to replace fragmented systems with one unified rule-based administrative process. But um but I would like to post this one as we move on to the next slide. Okay. While this improves efficiency, it also raises important questions about inclusiveness. Kasi hindi lahat po ng mga tao ay may access sa pag-register sa ID system po natin, 'di ba? Accessibility as well. Okay? Kaya bang mag-access ang mga senior citizen ng kanilang PhilSys ID? And the third and most important one, privacy. Okay? And that's exactly what we will try to reflect on the next slide. Okay? Now, doon sa project ng government po natin na One ID to replace them all, okay, having a single national ID makes transactions faster, true or false? Tama, tama. It makes it simpler, yes or no? And it makes it more efficient. That's exactly what Weber. All right, sorry for that one. Okay, let's continue. So as I was saying, that's exactly what Weber would expect for the rational bureaucracy. But let's also think critically. Kahit na maganda yung purpose ng batas, sabi ko nga kanina, the national ID made everything faster, simpler, and more efficient. What about the citizens living in Gida? Gida is geographically isolated and displaced regions. What about senior citizens? Paano yung mga persons with disability? How can they access Philippine ID system? So, paano nga? Eh, may napag-iiwanan ngang mga population, 'di ba? Paano sila magre-register? Okay? You have to take note that efficiency is important and so is accessibility. 'Di ba? Hindi naman pwedeng gumastos na naman ang pamahalaan ng milyon-milyong piso para lang buhatin ang ating mga senior citizen papunta sa covered court, o 'di ba? O kaya yung mga kapatid nating mga may kapansanan, 'di ba? Para lang makapag-register sila sa kanilang national ID. Okay? And kayo bilang future public administrators, your challenge is not simply to make systems more efficient, but to ensure that no one is left behind. Wala dapat na pag-iiwanan. Okay? Kasi kahit gaano kaganda yung pulisiya mo, kung hindi rin naman siya nakatutulong para i-achieve natin yung common good, useless. Lahat ng policy po natin dapat adheres to the principle of solus populi est suprema lex. What is that again? Nabanggit ko na to sa previous lesson. Solus populi est suprema lex means the welfare of the people is the supreme law. Dapat yaan ang priority po natin. Now that we have seen how bureaucracy works in practice, let us try to examine now and define Weber's ideal bureaucracy. Ano nga dapat ba yung nagwo-work na bureaucracy para sa Pilipinas? For example, okay? Actually, may 7. There are 7 ideal types of bureaucracy according to Max Weber. Okay? And each feature has a specific structure. In fact, no, sa 7 major features na yan that work together to make bureaucracy predictable, it it made it made government service more efficient and stable. Now, wag nating isipin na itong 7 ito ay hiwa-hiwalay. Okay? These are actually part and parcel to complete the entire system. So, let us try to discuss each feature one at a time, beginning now with the first one. The first one is hierarchy. Okay? Of course, intindihin po natin na ang bureaucracia in its core essence, particularly, ay may hierarchical structure. Anong ibig sabihin po noon? Meron po yung chain of command. Okay? So, there are offices that has clearly its own organizational structure. At doon po natin nakikita who supervises, sino ang nasa top executive. Every employee also knows who reports to whom. For example, sa barangay, okay? Totoo na independent ang Sangguniang Kabataan, but they are not a separate independent local government unit. The Sangguniang Kabataan, headed by the Sangguniang Kabataan chairperson, is directly reporting to whom? To the punong barangay. Still, sa barangay po, ang pinakamataas sa hierarchy ay ang punong barangay. Hindi si kagawad, hindi si sekretary, kundi si punong barangay. Okay? And take note that this creates now order. Kasi alam natin kung sino ang ating pinuno. Sino ang accountable? Pinag-uusapan natin yung accountable at hierarchical structure. 'Di ba? If you are indeed following the impeachment proceedings, isa sa mga kinwestiyon ng Senator Judge Amy Marcos ay meron naman daw pong designated person. Ibig sabihin, kung ako si Vice President, meron akong inutusang tao para i-process yung pera, yung confidential fund. And dahil designated, for example, si Paula at nalustay niya yung pera, dapat si Paula ang maging accountable at hindi ako. Mali, okay? Hindi po ganon ang batas natin. Since I am the head of office, I maintain that certain degree of accountability. Okay? Kahit si Paula, yung naglustay ng pera, kasama yung kanyang mga alipores for that matter, ako pa din yung pinuno ng opisinang iyon, therefore I should be held accountable. Of course, pag sinabi nating hierarchical structure, nagkakaroon din ng coordination. Kasi alam natin kung sino ang itatap kung sakasakaling meron tayong task. At alam natin yung mga duties and responsibilities po nila. For example, in a local government unit, for example, a barangay, the barangay coordinates with the municipality. The municipality coordinates now with the province, and the province now coordinates with the national agency. So may istruktura po tayong sinusunod. Ganon din po, class, kapag meron tayong problema sa klase. If in case meron tayong issue within the class, unahin po muna nating lapitan yung instructor concerned. Hindi po sa Facebook at hindi po sa social media, no? At mas lalong hindi sa baril, utang na loob. Okay? Now, hierarchy is not just about power for its own sake. It's about ensuring that responsibilities and authority are clearly organized. Okay? Now, once authority is organized, na ayos na, may sistema na, meron tayong organizational structure. Okay? Anong susunod? The next is, who does what? Sino ang gagawa ng isang bagay na ito? And that is what we call now as division of labor. Okay? So dito, nagkakaroon ng tinatawag nating fixed jurisdiction. This means every office has clearly defined responsibilities. For example, the Business Permits and Licensing Office processes business permit. Hindi po si Rural Health. Kasi si Rural Health ang bahala mag-check up ng mga tao, manggamot. The Health Office handles health-related clearances. The Treasurer manages government funds. Each office now focuses on its assigned function. When everyone knows their specific role, duplication of work is reduced and services become more efficient. But take note, having assigned responsibilities is not enough. Hindi porket ikaw ang SK chairperson, alam mo na ang role mo, tapos na. Hindi pong ganon. Government also needs consistency. Okay? Kulang po yung magaling lang sa una. Dapat tuloy-tuloy po yan. Malinaw po ba? Therefore, we continue with the next one. Okay? There must be formal written rules and procedures para hindi pa iba-iba ng desisyon si kapitan, si mayor, si governor. Dapat meron pong standard na sinusunod na procedures at mga batas. Okay? In bureaucracy, decisions are guided by written laws, manuals, policies, and standard operating procedures or SOP. Okay, tandaan po ninyo yan. Bakit ito mahalaga? Because written rules promote consistency. They also protect both the citizen and the public official. If someone asks, bakit ito ang naging desisyon ni SK? Then, the answer should not be, kasi ito yung gusto ko. Mali. Instead, the decision should be supported by an existing rule or policy. For example, tinanong sa akin, bakit mo binagsak si ganito? Dahil ayaw ko siya. Ay, mali yun. Pwede niyo akong kasuhan doon. Pero kung sinabi natin na binagsak ko siya kasi number one, absent siya ng absent, hindi pa siya nagpapasa, meron pa siyang attitude problem, ay alangan mo pagbigyan ka. Hindi porket pinsan kita or kaibigan kita. And that is actually one of my trademarks before, ever since I became a teacher. When I became a teacher in SLC and then I transferred to DIMSU, my track record is actually clean so far. In fact, nakwento ko na nga sa inyo that I was once manipulated into changing a specific grade para lang makapasok siya sa DL. Okay? And sino yun? It was actually someone who is higher than me. Ginagamit niya yung kapangyarihan niya para utusan akong baguhin yung grado ng isang estudyante namin dahil siguro paborito niya. I'm not sure why, pero of all the people na nabigyan ko ng mas mababang grado as compared to other students, siya yung pinili at siya yung ipinakiusap sa akin para baguhin yung grado. Labag yun sa loob ko. Kasi I know for a fact that I did everything, 'di ba? Nag-adjust na ako ng mga grado nila, binigyan ko sila ng mga plus points and still nabitin siya. At ito yung pet peeve ko ngayon sa school. Sasabihin sa akin, "Sir, scholar gamin." Okay? Being a scholar is not your license to demand from your teachers na bigyan kayo ng mataas na grado. It's your responsibility to work your asses out to get higher grades and comply with the requirements of your scholarship guarantor or even your provider. Wag na wag ninyo kaming ide-demand na bigyan kayo ng mataas na grado where in fact you have given us your bare minimum. Good bureaucracy, transition siya, no? Good bureaucracy minimizes arbitrariness by ensuring that decisions are based on rules and not personal preferences. Kaya minsan hindi rin masama ang by the books kasi it will guide your decision. Kasi ito'y nakasaad sa batas. Ito'y nakasaad sa policy na kapag umabsent ka ng 3 beses, drop ka na sa akin. Malinaw? Okay, we move on now to one of Weber's most misunderstood concept, and that is the concept of interpersonality. So that's the next one now, impersonality. No, you have to take note that when we hear the word impersonality, sometimes ang naiisip na natin is being rude or unfriendly. Pero hindi po yan yung gustong ibig sabihin ni Weber. When we say impersonality class, lalo sa konsepto ng bureaucracy, it means that um, public officials should treat similar cases in the same way regardless of who the applicant is, 'di ba? Alam ko, familiar ako sa mga common na rant natin na yung mga sino bang mas matara, yung registrar ba, yung or accountant, mga ganong bagay. Pero when you say impersonality, dapat walang kinikilingan, walang pinoprotektahan, at dapat serbisyong totoo lamang. Okay? Just to actually borrow the quote of Mike Enriquez and Mel Chanco in 24 Oras. Okay? So, kahit ikaw ay kaibigan, kahit ikaw ay kamag-anak, or kahit ikaw ay complete stranger sa taong pinagsisilbihan mo, dapat pantay-pantay ang turing mo. Katulad ng sinabi ko, di ba? Walang kaibigan sa akin before. Many people would say close mo ni Sir Kenny Didata, baka nangato grado na. Pero dumating ang final grade, lahat sila nagulat. One experience of mine, hindi ko pinapasikat na nambabagsak ako kasi sabi ko nga, I always pull the last string at talagang ipinipilit ko po na walang bumagsak sa akin. Pero katulad nga ng sinabi ko sa inyo sa klase po natin before, may 3 rason kung bakit bumabagsak ang isang estudyante sa akin. Number 1, non-compliant. Di ba? Mag-comply ka lang sa mga pinapagawa ko sa'yo, definitely malaki ang chance mong pumasa. Number 2, attitude. Okay? Bastos. Hindi lang bastos sa teacher kundi pati sa mga sa mga kapwa students din niya. Ayoko ng discrimination, 'di ba? Ayoko nang nakakarinig ako ng mga estudyante kung sinasabihan yung kapwa estudyante nila na bobo, tanga, okay? Or kung ano-ano pang mga homophobic, misogynistic, religious, racist remarks. Okay? Yan po yun. Alright. Another one, no? Government decisions should be based on facts and rules, not on personal relationships or emotions. Hindi porket ex mo yung magre-request ng clearance for example ay i-de-deny mo. Malaki po yung kasalanan sa batas. And that is one of the strongest safeguards against favoritism, nepotism, and corruption. Okay? So kailangan mag-ipon kayo ng ebidensya na merong pinapaboran ng isang tao, saka nyo po sila isumplong kasi pinagbabawal po yan sa batas. No? What is nepotism? Are you familiar with the word nepotism? Okay? Excuse me, sorry. All right. When you say nepotism, this is actually a very bad practice where people in power use their influence to give jobs, promotions, or unfair advantages to family members. Dito ginagawang business ang business ng pamilya ang politika. Mali. Okay? Now, if appointments and decisions are based on rules, rather than personal connections, then one important question follows. How should government employees be selected? And that is the next feature that I wish to discuss. Okay? Yan. So the next one is merit-based appointment and of course, promotion. Ito na po yung naging reform ng civil service po natin. Okay? So dahil nga po, 'di ba? Kung babalikan natin yung discussion natin kina Wilson and Goodnow before, 'di ba? Dati padrino system, political loyalty. Kung mas loyal ka, mas mataas yung posisyon na binigay sa'yo. Pero pinatay dati yung presidente because he denied the appointment. And that paved way now for the passing now of Pendleton Law. And in the Philippines, we adopted that and we have reformed the civil service laws po natin under 1935 Constitution and is still in effect and was adopted under 1987 Constitution. Yan po yung tinatawag nating merit-based promotion and appointment, which is the fifth feature. No, according to Weber, government officials should be selected because of their qualification, not because of family connections, political influence, or personal favors. This is why modern governments use examinations. Meron tayong civil service exam, may mga board exam tayo at may bar examination tayo. We also have educational qualifications. Yaan yung college graduate, may master's degree, or may doctorate degree. Of course, interviews din po, and even competency standards. Here in the Philippines, my dear friends, one example is the civil service examination, which serves as one of the gateways to permanent government employment. Kaya nga, when I turned 19, I took the opportunity to take the civil service exam. Okay? Kasi, ang exam sa Pilipinas ay August and March. Supposedly, pagtungtong ko ng 18, mag-e-exam na sana ako. Eh, nag-18 ako noong June 14, 2018. Sarado na yung application para sana mag-take ako ng August 2018 exam. So, nag-take na lang ako ng March 2019. And, kasin apo, naipasubmit. Okay? And, it gave me a lot of opportunity as well. No? After, kalkalpas ko pa na nag-graduate kat, nag-apply ak iti LGU, permanent ko mga sigud ti maalapon, pero nagbabawi ak kasi nagisuro na sa private. And then I transferred to DIMSU. Tapos na permanente ako sa DepEd. Ngayon lumipat ako sa ISPSC, permanent na din. Okay? So mag-take na kayo ng civil service exam, my dear students, kasi lalo kanyayo public ad kayo, we non-board dito program tayo. So yung kumbaga compensation ng walang board exam sa atin ay yung pag-take ng civil service exam. No? So, there is a basic principle here that we have to always observe. The right person, ang tamang tao, should be placed in the right position. So, kung tamang tao ka, alam mo kung anong right position para sa'yo. Based on competence and not connections. Haan ga po nga amum ni Mayor namnamaumon nga si Kakat Agbalin nga executive secretary. Maling-mali po yan. Now, once qualified, people enter the bureaucracy. And Weber believed they should also be encouraged to build long-term careers in public service. Hindi lang porket permanente ka na, yun na. Wala ka nang ginagawa to improve yourself. Dapat nagkakaroon din po tayo ng career orientation, and of course, I would like to highlight here yung security of tenure kasi. Yun yung kagandahan sa pamahalaan, no? Sa government service. Okay? So the sixth feature is career orientation. For Weber, government service should be viewed as a profession and not just a temporary job. Kaya nga hiling ng lahat at karamihan maging permanente ang kanilang trabaho sa pamahalaan. No? That's why bureaucracies provide fixed salaries. Meron tayong salary grade, 'di ba? Opportunities for promotion and security of tenure. Bakit? Because public servants who enjoy stability are generally less vulnerable to political pressure and arbitrary dismissal. Hindi dahil nagpalit ng mayor at hindi mo siya kasundo, papalitan ka na. Yun yung protection po natin. Well, the goal is to create a professional civil service that continues serving the public regardless of changes in political leadership. And finally, sa wakas, natapos din natin, separation of office from office holder. Yan. Okay? So dito naman po, the final feature is yung separation na po natin sa office from the office holder. This means that the office does not belong to the person occupying it. Wala pong forever kumbaga. Bakit? Kasi pwede kang matanggal sa pwesto dahil namatay ka, nag-resign ka, na-promote ka, or dahil tinanggal ka dahil nagkaroon ka ng kasalanan sa batas. Government funds, vehicles, buildings, equipment, and official authority remain public property. Wala po dapat magmay-ari ng iisang posisyon. Kaya nga sinasabi ko sa inyo, lalo sa elective position, we have the power to put a person in possession and even remove them. Katulad nga ng sinabi ni Noynoy Aquino, tayo ang boss ng mga taong iyon. Okay? So for example, when a mayor's terms end, okay, the municipal hall, service vehicles, and government records stay in the office. Hindi po iuuwi ni Mayora yung sasakyan ng munisipyo kasi hindi sa kanya yon. Former mayor na siya. Okay? Natanggal yung powers and authority sa kanya kasi tapos na yung termino po niya. Ganun po yun. Always remember, public office is a public trust, not private property. Kaya naman po, okay? This is a reference now to the ongoing impeachment proceedings of VP Sara, which I will be giving you an activity ulit dyan. Kaya sana tinututukan po ninyo ang impeachment. Okay? This principle helps us protect government resources from personal use and abuse. Tandaan po natin kahit gaano po kaganda yung intention ng polisiya, for example, sinasabi doon, ipinambili daw po o di umano, allegedly, ng gamot. Kung ang perang iyan ay earmarked, ibig sabihin nakalaan na po yan for a specific value, hindi po pwedeng basta-gasta galawin at igastos sa ibang bagay kahit gaano pa kaganda yung inyong purpose. Kaya sa mga SK po dyan, for example, or sa mga nagbabalak maging SK this year, kung matuloy ang eleksyon, pero I heard pasado na po sa lower house at naghain na po ng bill sa Senado through Chis Escudero today to postpone the election. Kung kayo po ay SK, okay, at nag-budget na po kayo, approve na po yung budget ninyo. And then, suddenly, na-realize niyo na hindi gumagalaw yung pondo sa livelihood program. Sabi ninyo, sayang mo, ito'y 200,000 para livelihood, hanto'y magasgastos, i-scholar ko latan. Nagdesisyon ka bukod mo, nga inwaras mo, dahil 200,000, it is scholarship. Sa mata ng batas, mali po yan. Kahit gaano kaganda yung hangarin mong makatulong sa mga kapwa mo estudyante, yung budget na yan ay may pinaglaanan na. At hindi basta-basta pwede pong uh, ilipat mo na lang or i-change mo yung purpose ng pondo na yan dahil lang sa kagustuhan mo. Okay? So, let's have a quick check po to check your understanding. Which feature explains this? A retiring registrar's record are handed over intact. The office runs the same on their first day as their last. That is the separation of office from office home. Okay? So, yun lang naman gusto kong i-emphasize. There's not much of a discussion here kasi nga natapos ko naman na. Okay? So, I will be ending now this part as we will be transitioning um to the next lessons na po ng ating activity. Actually, tapos na po ang lesson po natin na congratulations, nakatapos po tayo dito. So, on the next part, we will be discussing now yung ito, critics of bureaucratic rigidity. Ito na po yung susunod na magiging discussion po natin. So, please stay with me because we will have another episode po. Maraming maraming salamat po for staying with me and I'll see you on the next installment and series of our video recorded lecture. Goodbye for now.